Welcome back to the Murder Valley YouTube channel. What I've got here on the bench is it's sort of like the quest for a gravity chassis that works, and works on what I've been trying to do as sectional track. But it all sort of started for me back in 2017 with this chassis right here. This is an AFX non-mag. It's got a Viper Razor front in it that I've spaced out because the chassis is narrower than a Viper, and it's got a Magna Traction red arm in it. And this is what led me down the path of really wanting to make foam tyres and making them work. So these are what I experimented with, right? This is my 2017 chassis, and this is the body that was on it, right? So I'd never had a lot to do with, prior to December 2016, had really nothing to do with any of the pancake cars. I really only had Tommy turbos and that sort of stuff. So I bought some second-hand stuff, got some old T-Jets and solid rivet ones, and didn't really have any success with any of those because I couldn't really get any to run, and it's difficult to get stuff in Australia for them. Well, it certainly was at the time. But I did get a couple of these and some Magna Tractions, so stuffed around with what I had there and got this one to be a runner. And this was actually pretty good, but the tyres weren't really working for me, because you got to remember, a lot of the chassis that I was picking up had tyres on them. And look at the tyres on this. Look, the dimples in them. So like, they're useless. So this is part of the reason why I started making foam tyres, because it's just accessibility to stuff, right? But this thing, I used to get this thing on the straight, and I just, on the original Murder Valley circuit, and just power it on this thing and just wheel spin up the straight. The rest of the track, it was good, but it'd have a tendency to be a little bit flighty in the front, and then, yeah, just wheel spinning. And it was entertaining, but you couldn't hold a race with them. Now I started off with variable power, so I could turn the power up and down, but I found non-mag, 14.5 volts sort of works well. So anyway, so along sort of picking up other stuff, I've also picked up these Riggins. These are sort of brass chassis, and these are I grabbed these because they're a bit cool, but they're a bit crap as well, because I don't like this sort of stuff, like extra play. That they're good, but nah, the other one's basically the same. They've never been a real success. I don't think these. I haven't had any real success with these pickup styles on the metal rails. They just seem to be. Maybe it's just a thing with the AFX sectional track. I don't know, but I haven't had any real success with those. I built this. This is a Landshark. Not a big fan of these motors. I don't think they're much chop for anything, really. They're too powerful. I'm not inspired. I'm not even a big fan on the Mega G Plus motors, which are the next size up. But anyway, so then I got hold of this that Jeff Hurley sent me out. But look, honestly, I'm going to admit I haven't done anything with it. I've put a set of rims on it. But yeah, it's all about everything I've focused on since getting involved in Ho is getting a garage racing league happening, and if I can't make if the other blokes can't produce it, then that's sort of what's motivated me, which then focuses me then to these. So we're talking AFX non-mag, AFX Magna Traction, Auto World X Traction. This is the one without the extra, what do they call it? There's an extra little neo magnet thing, and they call them something or other. So this non-mag here's got the standard what everyone does, and it's got O-rings on the front of it, and yeah, they're okay. It's better than nothing. But this is where I've started going for foam tyres, and what sort of motivated me and everything. Right. So 2017. So I collected all of these, the Ferrari 512s and the Porsche 917s, and I was going to make a racing class since I've picked up, because I bought a heap of these things, right? So since I've bought all of this stuff, I've learnt how to resin cast. So if I was doing it over again now, I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't bother buying all these. I'd just get one of each and just resin cast it, right? So this was my original sort of plan, and I've sort of put one together, and this drives okay. Now this has got a reasonably grippy, compliant foam tyre on it. It's got brass front ends made by Tony Ciccone over in the US. I'm a big one on build. If I've got a 6-lane track, I need 6 cars that all match, right? So I've got another five sets there of fronts. Viper double flange rears. The only reason I've gone to the brass over the Viper front, they're just not heavy enough for these. Magna traction they'd be good in, but yeah, in the AFX non-mag they're a little bit light. Something else to point out. The AFX non-mag has a smaller front axle hole, which is part of the reason why I've gone down this path, because Tony made me up. The axle size is in metric 1.1 mil. Everything else sort of from here on has a 1.2 mil axle, and then prior to the AFX non-mag they use the same axle front and rear, which is 1.6. Not every single chassis uses a 1.6 axle. Some use 1.5s, but yeah, it's neither here nor there in this discussion. So anyway, so this is my mission. This is where I'm trying to get, and I'm going to admit that I've spent most of my time concentrating over the last, what is it, coming up 7 years now? Yeah, coming up 7 years. Or sorry, coming up 8 years. Yeah, because I started in late 2016 and it's 2024 soon. So anyway, so all the focus that I've put on has been local racing and about getting stuff local and about getting guys inspired. We're going through a bit of a lull at the moment with members. We'd love to find some more members who can race on Sunday nights. We've got a few guys interested who work shift work or do whatever, and that just, there's nothing wrong with it, but it just makes it difficult on Sunday nights. You just need enough members to be able to turn up. But anyway, so as I'm working on my track and I'm getting my work finished, and yeah, I've been a bit slack on getting the track work done, but I've been working on my car and I've got a few other things going on at the moment as well, so it's sort of eating into my time that I would normally spend on my track. I did actually make a commitment to myself the other night. I went, I will spend, even on a night I don't feel like working on my track, I'll spend an hour, but it hasn't happened. So, but I am motivated. I do want to get it done. And when I get this track done, this whole track is designed around these things, right? And this is, whatever this project ends up being, this is what the track has been built for, right? So I've got a lot of things here on the go, and there's a lot of plans that sort of culminate, but to a finished result. But I want to race non-mag stuff here. And actually, so far, I probably had more results so far with a Bulldog chassis that I have. Hang on, I'll just grab it. All right, so talking all things non-mag. This has probably been my most successful attempt at a non-mag. It drives well, it does everything. So this, I've changed the motor out. It's got a lower spec motor in it. I've made my own brass weights in here, just copied what Viper do, like use the holes in the front. And then I've removed the original weight, the brass weight that came in the Bulldog new, and I've made my own brass weight. It must be a different density or something, because this one's heavier. And then these tyres are actually quite soft and compliant. So, and then I've got this little Morris body that I've made on it. It actually works really, really well. And this thing is a lot of fun to drive. And with this motor in it, because as I said, it's lower spec. So with the standard Bulldog motor in it, about 10.5 to 11 volts is perfect. But with this one, because it's lower and it has very, very low magnet traction. Like this thing has less mag traction than a T-Jet. So 14.5 volts is perfect for this, and then you get that nice drivability, right? So how do I work out my voltages? I literally start at a voltage, a really low one, like 10 volts, and then do a fast lap as fast as I can go. So with some cars, that means just holding the trigger full the whole way around, right? So then I keep on going until I can't get a faster lap. And once I've peaked and I can't get any faster, then I move it up to the next voltage, right? And I just keep going, and eventually you get to a point where the car actually, that turning the voltage up actually makes the car go slower, like you get a slower lap time. So that's how I arrive on what is the right voltage to use. It's a bit like the Three Bears theory, you know, like is a porridge too hot, too cold, or just right? Same with beds. Is it too soft, too hard, or just right? So this is how I arrive on voltages. I don't believe in this one set voltage for everything, and I don't believe in one set voltage for every track, because every track's different driving. I don't know. Do you need the same? Do you need the same amount of power at Eastern Creek as what you do on the Nürburgring? You know what I mean? Like they're different worlds apart. So every track will be unique. The only thing that's consistent that we carry from track to track is cars. So surely it makes sense to adjust voltage to make the car drivable on a track. So this is where I'm going. This is my little project, just ticking away in the background. I need, if to race something, it needs to be something that you can get drivers to be able to drive, and they've got to be able to drive it on their limit, lap after lap, lap after lap, without just constantly punting the thing off, right? So this is the package I'm working on, to come up with a package to do that, because I love non-mag stuff. There's nothing wrong with magnet stuff. It's just a different thing. But I love my non-mag stuff, and it all goes back. It all goes back to when I used to race Womp Womps back in the 90s. And this is one of my this is actually one I built in 2016, and I tried some different bracing on it. It actually handled really well. But 124 racing does not have magnets, and I was actually not a fan of the wing cars. So that's I'm trying to recreate that same feeling in Ho, which is why the track design I've done is a little bit simpler. And when I say simpler, like larger radius turns, not just, 180 degree turns back on yourself and just doing the same thing. So I've tried to build something that I think would lend itself to this project. But anyway, thanks for watching, listening to my rant, and I'm sort of trying to explain my motivations. So this is why this is why I taught myself or worked out how to make foam tyres. This is why I started resin casting, because I found that some of the heavier bodies change the way the car. It's the same thing as adding brass weights. So sometimes having a nice heavy body on them is a really, really good thing to get that little bit of traction you don't have because you don't have the magnet. So it's just, I'm mucking around with everything. Can't wait to get my track finished. Yeah, just really want to get my track finished and get back to driving again. But anyway, thanks for listening to me rant and carry on. If you like the content I have, please like and subscribe. I've got some projects I need to get back to. I've got to chase some stuff up. So I've got the Elf 6-wheeler that I've got to work on, and a couple of the other bodies that I want to resin cast, because I want to replicate those for G+. I still need to go and chase up some stuff. I've got some ideas on how to strengthen them without just thickening the whole inside of the body up. So that's sort of what's holding me up there. But yeah, we'll get back to it. We'll be getting somewhere. I'd love to see my subscribe limit get up a little bit higher, because I think I hit 70 subscribers today. Be good if I could get to I don't know, I've got a little goal. I just want to get to 100. I don't have any aspirations to get really any higher than that, but if I could get to 100, it sort of makes me feel like it's justifying what I'm doing. But I think once I get back in the track build, I think blokes will share that, and people will be more interested in watching sort of what I'm doing, and maybe might discover me. So anyway, that's where I'm at. That's what I'm doing. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Come back and watch. Thanks, boys.